From homeless to millionaire, shocking restaurant encounter changes her life forever. Mia had always been the girl nobody noticed. She lived in a cardboard box tucked away in an alley, surrounded by shadows that echoed her loneliness. With only a tattered blanket and a half-eaten apple, she survived day by day. But on that fateful evening, everything changed. A storm brewed overhead, dark clouds swirling, casting a shadow over her world. It was the kind of storm that felt like fate was demanding attention. And as raindrops began to pour, Mia stumbled into a nearby restaurant, desperate for shelter. Inside, there was warmth, laughter, and the smell of delicious food that tugged at her stomach. For a moment, she forgot her hunger, lost in the ambience. The soft light from chandeliers illuminated the room like a dream, making her feel almost human. Yet, that dream shattered when she caught sight of a man in a crisp suit, seated alone at a corner table. His eyes bore a sadness that seemed to pierce through the chaotic clamor of dinner chatter. Curiosity bubbled inside her. Who was he? Was he lost like her? As Mia glanced around, she noticed small gestures, a woman gesturing wildly, a waiter nervously glancing at the clock, a couple sharing whispers that sent shockwaves through their laughter. It was all so bizarre, stirring something deep within her. She felt that something monumental was about to unfold, something that could wrap her current reality in golden threads of possibility. All of a sudden, the tension in the room thickened. The chatter faded into whispers, and her heartbeat quickened. The man in the suit stood abruptly, his chair scraping against the polished floor, echoing through the silence. He locked eyes with Mia, as if he had been waiting for her all along. She felt a tightness in her chest, her hands trembling slightly. What did he see in her? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Mia barely had time to breathe before the man's expression shifted. Surprise morphed into urgency. He took a step towards her, his intentions unclear. The patrons, whispering, turned to watch this unexpected encounter. A collective gasp hung in the air, creating an electric charge amidst the awkward tension. What was happening? Why did he seem so familiar? Suddenly, the room's atmosphere shifted. Mia could feel the weight of everyone's stares, the pressure enveloping her like a heavy cloak. Panic exploded in her mind as she realized this might change everything, or ruin what little she had left. And as the first question electrified her thoughts, what did he have to offer her? She knew deep down, she wasn't just witnessing a moment, she was standing on the edge of a monumental change. But would she take the leap? The man approached slowly, each step heavy with unspoken words. Mia held her breath, the room spinning around her like a tornado. His tailored suit gleamed under the soft chandeliers, a stark contrast to her ragged appearance. What could he possibly want with her? The whispers grew louder, dancing in her ears, mixing with her thudding heart. Are you okay? He asked, his voice low and anxious. It was laced with concern, and for a brief moment, it warmed her. She nodded, but inside, terror gripped her. What did he see behind her matted hair and dirt-streaked face? The murmurs intensified as he reached to take her hand. It felt electric, and she flinched at first, unaccustomed to human contact. The diners were now completely focused, eyes wide with curiosity, as if they knew that history was in the making. I saw you, he stammered, glancing around the room as if searching for the right words. I don't know how to explain this, but, you're important. You're in danger. Danger? The word sent a chill through Mia's spine, pooling dread in her gut. She looked deep into his eyes, searching for a glimpse of the truth. Was this some sort of sick joke? The world had never been kind to her, and now this stranger was painting it in darker shades. "You don't know me," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "You don't know anything about my life." He stepped closer, urgency lacing his words. "I know enough. My name is David. I'm looking for someone. I thought it was you." His face was a mixture of hope and anguish. "Please, you have to trust me." Mia's mind buzzed with confusion. Trust? It was a currency she hadn't been able to afford. Yet something in him, a raw desperation, perhaps made her hesitate. In that split second, she realized he was offering an escape from this world of shadows, a glimpse into something brighter. "Why me?" she asked, her courage crumbling under the weight of his intentions. That he turned serious, his gaze unwavering. "Because what I've been searching for, it ties back to you. Your life has intersected with mine in a way I never expected." Before Mia could respond, a loud crash shattered the moment. A glass shattered across the room, the sound slicing through the thick tension. Gasps filled the air, and all eyes swung toward the source. "Get away from her!" A woman screamed, furious and wild-eyed, storming towards them with a fierce energy that radiated danger. David released her hand instinctively, stepping defensively in front of Mia. "What are you doing?" he demanded, his tone both protective and bewildered. The woman halted, her expression a mix of anger and desperation. Her eyes darted between Mia and David, as if trying to piece together a puzzle that felt impossibly out of reach. The tension escalated. "I know you!" the woman yelled, her voice cracking. "You're one of them." Mia trembled, unsure of what that meant. As the chaos surged, panic tightened in her chest. The restaurant felt suddenly claustrophobic. David turned back to her, urgency pressing on his features. "You need to come with me. Now." But Mia hesitated, wrestling with fear and uncertainty. What if following him meant diving deeper into danger? What if he was right, and her life depended on this very moment? "Please, just trust me," he urged, his voice softening. The room felt electric, the weight of the unknown pressing down on her. Mia faced a decision that could shatter her world or save it. And just as she opened her mouth to reply, the lights flickered. The curtains hummed ominously, casting an unsettling shadow across the patrons. What if this stranger was her only lifeline? But what was lurking just around the corner that she couldn't yet see? Mia felt every heartbeat like a loud drum in her ears as she stood at the edge of a decision that could change everything. Would she step into the unknown, or retreat back into the shadows? The lights flickered again, plunging the room into a momentary darkness. Gasps erupted from the audience, a great cloud of fear that bound them. Mia's heart raced in the silent chaos, each thump resonating against the walls of her chest. "Come with me," David said again, his voice sharp with urgency. He reached for her hand, but the woman stepped forward, blocking their way. Mia could see the fire in her eyes, a glint of something dark and desperate. "You can't trust him, Mia," she shouted, her glare piercing as she scanned David's face. "He'll betray you. Just like the others." In that instant, a flood of memories rushed over Mia. The betrayals, the lies, the countless times she had believed someone would save her only to be left alone in the dark. But David's gaze was steady, imploring her to look past the chaos. "They're coming," the woman hissed, her voice edged with fear mingled with madness. "He's putting you in danger, and you don't even realize it." "What do you mean?" Mia breathed, the words scratchy and heavy as they tumbled from her mouth. The woman took a step closer, her expression softening momentarily. "There are people after you. They want something from you, and he might be one of them." Mia felt the world tilt beneath her feet. She glanced at David, whose expression now was a mix of frustration and hurt. "Look," he began, but the lights flickered once more, plunging them all into darkness again. When the lights returned, the tension in the room snapped like a taut wire. People scrambled from their seats, the once quiet diners now panicking. Mia could feel their eyes on her, judging her, whispering accusations as though they were the very hands that would drag her back into the shadows. "Just come with me," David insisted, grabbing her wrist this time, his touch firm yet desperate. The woman screamed again, her voice shrill, cutting through the noise. "It's a trap. Don't let him take you." Mia's heart pounded as conflicting thoughts swirled in her mind. In that instant, every painful memory flashed before her, a life filled with betrayal and lost trust weighed against the possibility of salvation that David offered. "Do you trust me or not?" David practically shouted, urgency now spilling over into desperation. For a wild moment, Mia's breath caught in her throat. The restless whispers of the crowd faded, leaving only the swift gusts of her heartbeat. She clutched her own thoughts, grappling with the tantalizing thread of hope he embodied. "Please," he added, eyes wide, searching hers. "I swear, we can figure this out together." But mustering a decision felt like standing on the edge of a cliff, the terrifying drop nagging at her conscience. The woman stepped even closer, her expression switching back to fierce determination. "You can't trust him. He'll betray you just like everyone else has." Before Mia could respond, a loud crash reverberated through the restaurant, another table flipping over, sending chairs sprawling. The crowd was in full panic mode, people shouting, squeezing past each other in a bid to escape. "Now, Mia," David urged, yanking her out of the chaos. She stumbled forward, instinctively drawn to him. "Wait!" Mia cried, torn between a new life and the weight of her past. Out of the corner of her eye, she saw the woman lunge towards her, eyes brimming with a wild desperation. "Don't go with him!" she wailed, but it was too late. David was pulling her towards the exit, the flood of panic enveloping them. Mia could feel her feet moving, adrenaline surging as uncertainty gripped her. The doors loomed closer, a barrier between fear and hope. In that moment, she knew there was no turning back. But as they burst through the doors, a shadowy figure stood just outside, waiting, and everything went dark as the world tilted once more. What had she just stepped into? Would this choice lead her to freedom or serve as another trap? Mia's breath hung in the air as darkness enveloped them. Panic clawed at her throat, and she felt the ice-cold fingers of fear wrap firmly around her heart. As the world faded to black, the echo of chaos from inside the restaurant faded, leaving only a tense stillness. But the stillness shattered as a harsh light flooded back into her vision. A flash, a gun. Panic surged anew as her eyes darted around. David was still beside her, but the body cast an eerie silhouette against the street lamps. "Mia!" he hissed urgently, eyes wide. She felt the ground beneath her shift like quicksand. A figure emerged from the shadows, cloaked in black, his features obscured. The figure's presence felt heavy, like a storm about to break. "What do you want?" David shouted, stepping protectively in front of Mia. The intruder said nothing, only raising a gloved hand as if assessing them, sizing up the threat. "Run!" David yelled, grabbing Mia's hand, pulling her to the side. They darted down the narrow alley beside the building, the stench of refuse and the harsh scent of garbage filling her nostrils. Heart pounding and limbs trembling, Mia clung to David, her mind racing. Who was this man? Why were they in danger? Exposure to people like this was something she was all too familiar with, an echo of her past she thought she had escaped. Suddenly, from behind them, came the sharp crack of footsteps, heavy and relentless. "Keep going," David urged, glancing back briefly. Mia's breath quickened, the weight of each footfall pounding against her skull. They veered onto a main street, the glow of neon signs slicing through the night. But there was no safety in sight. The world around her blurred as she focused solely on their escape. David pulled her toward a parked car. "Get in," he demanded, pushing the door open fiercely. It was a sleek black sedan, unnaturally pristine. He slid into the driver's seat, throwing the engine into life with a roar. Mia hesitated. Why was David driving a car like this? Where had it come from? Come on, he urged, glancing over his shoulder. Almost mechanically, she slid into the passenger seat. The door slammed shut, sealing the chaos behind her. But before she could even process her surroundings, David slammed the gas pedal. The tires screeched, and they shot down the street like a bullet. Her heart raced with the speed, each bump in the road making her feel like she was flying off the edge. What is happening? Mia gasped, struggling to process it all. There's no time. David gritted his teeth, his knuckles white on the steering wheel. They know you're out there, Mia. We have to get away. The word struck her like a punch to the gut. Who was after her? The woman at the restaurant had warned her. Was David really trying to save her, or was he part of the trap? In the rearview mirror, Mia caught a glimpse of that shadowy figure pursuing them, his silhouette powerful and threatening. Her stomach dropped as realization fought its way to the surface. David, what do you know? She pressed, searching his face for signs of a lie. I swear, Mia, I'll explain everything later. Just trust me. But how could she trust him? Their world was unraveling, a tapestry woven with secrets and danger. As a tight silence enveloped the car, all Mia could do was clutch her hands in her lap and hope against hope that this mad drive would lead them to safety. Suddenly, the car swerved, tires screeching as David narrowly avoided a parked truck. The jolt sent Mia tumbling sideways, panic washing over her like ice water. Then David slammed on the brakes. Down! He shouted, everything slowed. The car skidded to a stop. Mia's heart raced violently in her chest. Get down! David barked again, this time firm. She barely had time to react when deafening gunfire erupted in the night. What were they caught up in? Would they escape this nightmare, or had she just made the biggest mistake of her life? The world outside was chaos. The gunfire reverberated through Mia's bones, rattling her insides as she hit the floor of the car, staring wide-eyed at David. His face twisted in panic, almost unrecognizable beneath the intensity of the moment. We have to move. He jerked the door open, yanking Mia out into the night. They crouched behind the sleek sedan, hearts pounding like war drums. David's breath was heavy, every intake a struggle against the fear clawing at them both. Mia glanced back, catching sight of the shadowy figure emerging from the darkness as if it had materialized from her nightmares. Who is that? She stammered, fingers trembling against the cold metal of the car. David's eyes darted around, his jaw clenched. We don't have time for this. Just follow me. With that, he dashed away from the car, pulling her along. The streets twisted like a maze in the dead of night, alleyways lined with damp bricks, shadows lurking just beyond their vision. Adrenaline coursed through Mia, spurring her to keep pace, even as her mind screamed warnings. What if this was David's plan all along? They turned a corner, leading them to a narrow passage. The sound of footsteps echoed behind them, relentless and growing closer. Fear wrapped around Mia like a vice. David! What do they want? No time! He shouted, pushing them into the cramped alley. The sudden stillness pressed in on them. They halted, panting, hiding in the darkness as the figure approached, a shape outlined against the streetlights, a predator hunting its prey. Mia's skin prickled, the air heavy with unspoken threats. David placed a finger to his lips, signaling for silence. The shadow paused, scanning its surroundings. They were so close, Mia could see the glint of something metallic in the figure's hand. Her chest tightened, breath caught in her throat. Was he armed? Where do they go? The figure muttered to himself, glancing around. Mia felt David tense beside her, a mix of anger and fear radiating from him. Get ready to move, he whispered, steel in his tone. Just as the figure turned to walk away, Mia's phone buzzed violently, the vibration completely out of sync with the chaos unfolding. Her heart dropped. It was an unknown number. The screen lit up her face, and against every instinct urging her to silence it, she reached for the device, almost hypnotized by the need to escape this nightmare. "Mia!" David hissed, grabbing her wrist. "Don't! Are you crazy?" Panic seeped into his voice, but before she could pull back, she swiped to answer. "Mia, listen carefully. You're in grave danger. Trust no one." Except the call cut off as gunfire erupted once more, this time closer, piercing the stillness. "Get down!" David shouted again, shoving her to the ground. The sound of bullets ricocheted off the walls, sharp and unforgiving. Mia's heart thundered in her chest, breath quickening as she pressed herself to the cold pavement, desperate for the thin shielding it provided. The figure had returned now with a companion, and both men were shouting, threatening, exchanging words that churned with aggression. "We know she is here. Don't let her get away." One of them snarled, and the urgency mounted. They were looking for her, and she didn't know why. "What do they want with me?" Mia whispered, trembling. "I don't know," David replied, eyes trained on the mouth of the alley, "but they mean business. We have to find a way out of here." Hope flickered and died in Mia's chest, replaced by a cold dread. How could they escape? Suddenly the air was charged, their fate hanging on a very thin line. Then, as though the universe had taken a grim turn, the men began to move toward their hiding spot. "What do we do?" Mia breathed, panic rising again. David scanned the alley, desperation in his eyes. "There's no time left. Just trust me." And with that, he grabbed her arm and pulled her into the shadows even deeper. The world blurred into nothingness, each step a fight against the tide of dread threatening to pull her under, but as they slipped further into the darkness, Mia realized there was something lurking just beyond the edge of her understanding. Something more dangerous than the men searching for her. What did David really know? Was it too late for her to turn back, or was she already far too deep into this tangled web of survival? Mia stumbled through the darkness, David's grip anchoring her in a world that threatened to spiral away. She focused on the rhythm of their hurried steps, the pulse of adrenaline knitting them closer together. The muffled voices of their pursuers grew fainter behind them, but the echo of danger loomed. "Where are we going?" she gasped, trying to stitch together the fragments of their escape. Each corner they turned felt like a plunge deeper into a labyrinth, and she wasn't sure where it would lead. "I have a place," David said, urgency lacing his words. "Just keep moving." The alley opened up to a wider street, glinting under the flickering amber streetlights, a harsh contrast to their desperate flight. David paused, scanning for threats, his breath coming fast and raw. Mia's heart hammered against her ribcage, the reality of their situation crashing over her like freezing water. "David, I should." He shot her a warning glance, his eyes blazing with intensity. "We can't stop now. They'll catch up." The sound of faint sirens wailed in the distance, a promise of safety that felt almost unattainable. But in the back of Mia's mind, another thought nagged. She needed to know what was happening. What she had unknowingly stumbled into. "Why are they after me?" she whispered, her voice trembling. "What do I have that they want?" "Listen, this isn't the time to explain. Trust me, I swear I'll tell you everything once we're safe." A flicker of hope ignited inside her, but it was snuffed by a looming fear. Could she trust him? Or was this just another layer to the web of deceit? As they moved quietly past a row of abandoned buildings, Mia sensed something lurking in her chest, a deeper revelation waiting to be unearthed. Suddenly, David tugged her sharply, guiding her toward a small door wedged between two crumbling walls. He glanced over his shoulder, his shoulders taut with tension. "In here." Without waiting for a response, he shoved her through the gap and followed, pulling the door closed behind them. Inside, shadows swallowed them, the dimly lit room reeking of mildew and memories long since faded. David stepped ahead, searching for the flick of a switch. When the fluorescent light sputtered to life, Mia squinted against the harsh glare. "Where are we?" she asked, her voice echoing against the peeling walls. A storage space. The room was cluttered with dilapidated furniture and dusty boxes. It wasn't much, but it was a fortress at least for now. David paced back and forth, his hands running through his hair. "Mia," he said finally, stopping to face her, "the men looking for you, they want something. Something you don't even know you have." "What do you mean?" "They think you have information," he explained, urgency flooding his voice. "Information that could change everything. Your life, my life, the world." Her heartbeat quickened. "What kind of information?" "They think you know where the manuscript is." "What manuscript?" Mia felt the floor shift beneath her. An old memory surfaced, a forgotten conversation with a stranger at a party about an invaluable manuscript hidden away, thought lost to time. Could that have been it? "Mia, they believe it's tied to something major, something that goes beyond you or me," he said, drawing closer. "These men aren't just thugs. They're dangerous. We need to get out of here." Just as she opened her mouth to respond, they heard a deafening crash outside, sending adrenaline racing through Mia's veins again. "They're here." David's voice was a low hiss, his expression morphing into pure resolve. "We have to move now." She nodded, terror and determination blending as the weight of her unknown mission hung in the air. Where would they go from here? And what lay on the other side of this grisly encounter? Before she could voice her thoughts, the sound of heavy footsteps echoed outside the door, and a menacing voice called out. "Find her. She's close." Every part of Mia screamed at her to run, but a question rooted her in place: was this truly a beginning, or had they stepped into something even darker? Just then, another crash resounded, this time closer, shattering the silence that had clung around them. Were they truly trapped? And would they ever uncover the truth before it was too late? Mia's throat tightened as she exchanged frantic glances with David. The sounds outside were like a countdown, each thud of the footsteps pounding against her nerves. "Over here." David gestured toward a window at the far end of the room, the glass murky and filthy. It felt like their only option. She pushed herself to move, each step heavy with fear. The broken shards of wood from the door echoed in her mind. What if they broke through before they could escape? David hoisted himself up, scrambling to open the window. It creaked loudly, as if warning the world outside that danger lurked within. "They'll be in here any second," he whispered, his voice taut with urgency. Mia steadied her breath, knowing she had to keep it together. "What if they see us? They won't. Just get through." With the weight of the world on her back, Mia climbed up and pushed her way through, bracing for the sharp edges of the old frame. As she tumbled out, the crisp night air washed over her, a cooling balm against the heat of panic. David followed, dropping down beside her. They landed in an alley shaded by towering buildings that loomed like silent sentinels. Ahead, the street bustled with people unaware of the sinister pursuit behind them. "Run!" David urged, gripping her wrist as they dashed out into the crowd. The pulse of nightlife enveloped them, blaring music and laughter filled the air, a stark contrast to the dread pooling in Mia's stomach. "Do you know where we're going?" she asked, still holding on to the threads of desperation. "Head towards the park. It's less crowded," he said, weaving between groups of partygoers. They maneuvered through the throngs, slipping past neon lights and the enticing smells of street vendors. The city felt alive, yet Mia felt like a ghost haunting the edges. As they entered the park, the shadows thickened, offering a fleeting sense of refuge. She searched David's face, seeking reassurance. "What now?" she panted, leaning against a tree to catch her breath. David looked around, his eyes darting as if searching for invisible threats. "We have to blend in. Just act normal." "Normal?" The bitter taste of iron surged in her mouth. "They want me. There's nothing normal about this. Mia, it's the only way." His voice softened, grounding her with the weight of reality. Suddenly, a flicker of movement caught her attention, a figure emerging from the shadows, tall and menacing, scanning the area. Mia's heart dropped. "There," she whispered, pointing. David turned, instinct taking over. "Run!" They broke into a sprint again, deeper into the park. The figure yelled something. It was chaos. People turned, startled by the sudden rush. David pulled her into a darker section of the park, away from the lights. "I can't keep running like this," Mia gasped, feeling the cramp in her side. "What do they want? Who are they?" "Names don't matter. They're looking for answers about you, about the manuscript." Her world felt upside down. "But I don't know anything. I didn't even know it existed until you mentioned it." David's gaze pinned her, searching for understanding. "That's exactly why you're a target. You're a key, Mia, and they'll stop at nothing to get what they want." The night thickened around them, heavy with tension. Mia's mind reeled. This was more than she bargained for. She felt trapped between the walls of her own life and a new reality she had yet to fully comprehend. Faint sounds loomed in the distance again, the unmistakable voices of their pursuers, getting closer. "Mia, we have to find a way to contact someone who can help us before it's too late," David urged, panic underlying his voice. "I don't know anyone," she exclaimed, the walls seeming to close in with every breath. "Listen. We need to reach my uncle. He's involved with these kinds of situations. If anyone can help, it's him." "Your uncle?" Mia's brain raced. "How do we know he's any different? What if he's part of this too?" David paused, frustration flaring in his eyes. "He can help us figure this out. It's our best shot." The sound of a distant siren wailed, breaking through the madness, but it wasn't a sound of safety. It was a reminder of their peril. "Okay," she relented, nervous energy coursing through her. "Where is he?" "Just follow me," David answered, turning to run again. Every breath felt like it might crack under pressure. Mia's heart thudded with uncertainty, not just from fear but from the nagging feeling that every choice they made now wove them deeper into a web of danger. As they dashed through the park, the shadows flaring around them, Mia wondered, could they really trust anyone at all? And would they reach safety before the darkness consumed them both? They sprinted deeper into the park, the canopy of trees creating a labyrinth of shadows. Mia's lungs burned, and every strained breath she took felt heavier than the last. David led the way, his jaw set in determination, but she noticed how terror flickered in his eyes. What if they didn't make it? The thought chased after her like a predator. She glanced over her shoulder, half expecting the unknown figure to pounce from the darkness, but there was only the rustle of leaves and the distant murmur of late-night revelers. "David, how far is your uncle's place?" she gasped, keeping pace with him. "Not far now. We're almost there." He didn't slow down. Every word was punctuated with urgency, pushing them both forward. The park emptied out into a side street, and the streetlights flickered ominously. The faint sound of laughter faded as they charged past abandoned storefronts that loomed like ghosts in the night. An eerie stillness settled in the air. Desperation thumped in her chest as they veered left. A black SUV glided slowly past, its headlights searching. Mia's heart raced faster. What if they see us? They won't, just keep going. David's grip on her hand tightened, almost protective. They rounded the corner and there was a small, dingy diner adorned with a flickering neon sign that read "Open 24 hours." It looked like a relic from another time, the kind of place where desperate souls found a moment's refuge. "Wait here," David commanded as they approached the entrance. "I'll go in first. Just, don't move." Before Mia could respond, he pushed through the door. She stood there, body trembling, battling the instinct to flee back into the shadows. Every passing car sent goosebumps racing down her arms. The fear of being caught gripped her like a vice. The din of clattering dishes and low conversations spilled out into the street. She took a breath, each heartbeat resonating like a drum. The door swung open again, and Mia caught a glimpse of David talking animatedly to a man in a dark coat. Whispers darted between them like fireflies, illuminating the tension in the air. The man looked up and scanned the space outside, his piercing gaze sending a bolt of ice through Mia's spine. She ducked into the shadow of the diner's neon glow, holding her breath. Was he part of the danger that hounded them, or was he truly there to help? A sudden shout jolted her. "Hey! You!" Mia's heart plummeted. The dark figure they'd seen earlier loomed just a few feet away, now much closer, now much more imminent. She felt the world narrow, adrenaline locking her muscles in place. "Run!" David's voice echoed through the entrance, thick with urgency. Mia turned and bolted, feet pounding against the pavement like a frantic drumbeat. She darted in the opposite direction of her pursuer, her body moving on pure instinct, heart hammering in her chest. She could hear the clatter of footsteps behind her, loud and unrelenting. A sharp pang of panic surged through her. "David!" she shouted, desperate for his voice, desperate for reassurance in the chaos. But ahead lay an alley bordered by brick walls closing in on her. She hesitated for a heartbeat, torn between the safety of the diner and the unknown in the darkness ahead. They had to meet up somewhere. She had to trust David. He was all she had. With a deep breath, she plunged into the alley, feeling swallowed by the shadows that dripped with dread. She pressed her back against a cold wall, hands shaking, straining to listen for the familiar sound of David's footsteps. But all she could hear was the erratic beating of her own heart, and the swirling uncertainties that surrounded her. Where had David gone? Had he gotten caught? And then, as if the universe had pulled a cruel trick, the distant rumble of an approaching siren sliced through the dark. The moment of stillness shattered. Mia's chest tightened, panic clawing at her again. She could feel the walls closing in as the sound grew louder. Would they find her? Just as dread threatened to suffocate her, another voice cut through the night, a voice she recognized. "Mia. Over. Here." Was it David? Before she could see, the shadows swelled and the sirens wailed through the air, closing in on her. She didn't know if to run or stay. She had to decide, and in that moment, everything hung in the balance. Would she find safety, or would it all crash down around her? Mia's heart raced as she squinted into the darkness. "David!" she called, her voice trembling as she squeezed her eyes shut for a moment. The sirens grew louder, louder, and every second that ticked away felt like a lifetime. She couldn't just stand there. She needed to move, she needed to find him. Stepping farther into the alley, she strained to listen. The voice had sounded close, but now she wasn't sure anymore. Was David really here? Or had the shadows betrayed her, twisting her hope into confusion? The laughter from the diner faded into a haunting echo as the wail of the sirens drowned the rest of the world out. Deep breaths. "Mia," she thought. Panic surged and ebbed beneath her skin. Fighting to ground herself, she forced her focus to the flickers of light dancing off the brick walls, each flicker a reminder of time running out. "Mia, please." A figure stepped into the alley, too close, too fast. She stepped back against the wall instinctively. The shadows played tricks on her mind, mixing fear with the fleeting hopes of recognizing David. But as the figure came to a stop, her heart sank. It wasn't David. Where is he? The man's voice was low and menacing, a grating whisper that sent chills crawling up her spine. He was wider than David, darker, and the menace rolled off him like smoke. Mia shook her head, backing away further. I don't know. Don't lie to me. I know you were with him." She could hear footsteps outside the alley, the scuffle of shoes against asphalt, maybe a few panicked breaths from late-night stragglers. Her instincts screamed at her to run, but fear made her frozen. The man stepped closer, towering over her. The faint glow from the street pierced the night, illuminating the edge of his face. Something glinted in his pocket, a knife. Fear coursed through Mia, tight and unyielding. They had to be looking for David. What did they want? Suddenly, from the end of the alley, a voice rang out. "Mia! Move! David!" Her heart leapt. He emerged from the shadows, breathless and wild-eyed, like a ghost staggering back to life. Without waiting for her to respond, he lunged towards her, catching her wrist and pulling her into motion. The man's snarl cut through the tension. "Stop! You think you can just run away?" But Mia and David didn't look back as they tore down the alley, the pounding of their footsteps barely keeping time with the frantic beating of their hearts. The weight of pursuers chased them, the oppressive darkness pushing down like a heavy blanket. "We have to split up," David shouted as they reached a wider street. "I'll draw him away. You head towards the park." "What? No. I can't leave you. Trust me. There's no time." His eyes glinted with determination, but she could see the panic lurking behind them. Without waiting for a reply, he pushed her toward an alley on the opposite side. "Go." The words pierced through the chaos. She turned, her legs moving instinctively as she tore through the quiet street. The world blurred around her, shadows flickered, and adrenaline surged like a tidal wave. With every sprinting step, the sound of her heartbeat drowned out the relentless echoes of the distant sirens. She could hear a shout from David, muffled yet urgent, followed by the dark figure's wrathful growl. Mia turned a corner sharply, desperation fueling her flight. Where could she hide? Where could she be safe? In that moment, she caught a glimpse of a familiar street, slightly lit by old-fashioned lampposts. Ahead loomed another diner, empty and silent, its enchanted glow welcoming yet foreboding. Would it be a new refuge or another trap? But as she approached, a grunt echoed behind her. She glanced back, her breath hitched in her throat. The dark figure was coming fast, and he was not alone. The night was only growing darker. Would this diner offer salvation, or would it seal her fate? Mia lunged for the door, breathless with dread, just as a chilling laugh floated through the air. What she chose could change everything, but was it too late to turn back? The door swung open, and Mia dashed inside, barely making it before slamming it shut behind her. Her lungs burned as she leaned against the wood, eyes wide with shock. The diner was dimly lit, shabby, with vinyl booths and a counter lined with glossy stools. It seemed frozen in time. In that moment, it felt like both a sanctuary and a prison. "Mia!" David's voice echoed just outside, frantic and commanding. She glanced through the window, her heart pounding against her chest. The dark figure blurred into the night, his face shadowy and menacing. He was close, far too close. "David!" she cried, panic flooding her voice. With one last look at the diner's door, she darted into a booth in the far corner, feeling the cool plastic cling to her skin. "Stay down!" David burst through the door, eyes ablaze with urgency. "Did they follow you?" "Yeah, I think so. He's out there," she whispered, her voice tight with fear. David slid in beside her, urgency etched into every line of his face. "We need to figure out our next move. We can't stay here." Mia felt her heart twist. She had been running for what felt like an eternity, every heartbeat a reminder of the chaos unfolding around them. But what if they find us? Just then, the diner's door creaked open. A jingle reverberated, and in walked a waitress, oblivious to the storm brewing just outside. "Hey, can I get you guys something?" She flashed a tired smile, unaware of the turmoil unfolding. "Coffee." "Black," David replied quickly, keeping his voice low. Mia's thoughts raced. What do we do? If they see us? He shot her a look that both calmed and frightened her. "We have to see if we can reach someone who can help. Time is running out." From somewhere deep within her, a flicker of courage sparked. "What if I knew where to go?" David turned to her, brows knitted with confusion. "What do you mean?" She took a trembling breath. "Back when I lived on the streets, I heard whispers about a guy who knows things about this manuscript." David's eyes widened. "You think he can help us?" "Yes, but I don't even know if he still exists." Long shot, right? Mia, we don't have a choice. A sudden crash of thunder outside echoed ominously through the diner, and the lights flickered. Mia, forgive me, David said, leaning closer, his voice barely above a whisper. I need you to trust me entirely. They might have connections to the places you've been. If you're with me, they might try to hurt you. But if we split up, we both have a better chance. Mia's heart sank. You want me to run off while you distract them? That's insane. I'll wrap them around my finger. Just meet the guy you know, and we can figure this out. The people after you, they want something I can't let them have. But what if they catch you? Then figure it out. Please. Before Mia could reply, she caught movement outside. The dark figure stood there, scanning the diner, searching. She felt the cold rush of dread seeping into her bones. Okay, we have to go. David snapped. We'll meet at the subway station in 1 hour. Look for the old man with a red baseball cap. He'll help you. What if we don't find each other? She asked, the weight of uncertainty heavy on her shoulders. David gripped her hands tightly, their warmth leaching into the encroaching darkness. You will, Mia. You'll be fine. Just remember, keep moving. With a nod that felt more like instinct than rational thought, Mia swallowed hard. Okay. Go now. David said, urgency fueling his voice. The waitress looked up, a hint of confusion crossing her face. Is everything all right? David shot her a quick glare. Yeah, everything's fine. Ignoring him, Mia slipped into the restroom, her breath coming fast, a drum pounding in her ears. She glanced at herself in the grimy mirror, trying to gather her thoughts. The wild look in her eyes reflected back made her feel like she was staring into a stranger's face. Taking one last breath, she pushed the door open, her heart racing with panic as she slipped back out. Be careful. David shouted low, darting toward the exit, drawing attention away from her. Mia took off, her heart thudding like a war drum against her ribs. She ran into the night, the city alive around her, lights glimmering like stars amidst the chaos. She could hear David's voice calling her name, but she didn't stop, she couldn't. His safety depended on how far she could get from danger. The din of the diner and the night faded behind her, but the stakes burned bright against her thoughts. She had to survive. As Mia navigated through the streets, her mind churned with memories of the man she had heard about, the one who could lead her to answers. With each stride, a pulse of determination surged within her. If she could reach him, maybe, just maybe, she'd uncover the truth, the escape she didn't even fully understand yet, but the shadows danced ominously behind her, and fear lingered like a whisper on the wind. Would she ever see David again? With thoughts heavy and the unknown stretching out before her, she quickened her pace, ready to chase after whatever lay on the other side of this dark night. Hey, remember to smash that like button. And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? This is the moment to show your support. Flood the comments with your reactions and theories about what happens next. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. And don't wait even one more second to share this with at least 5 friends who need to see where this journey leads next.